1580 toasts its third anniversary on Juneteenth, and you're invited to celebrate with us.
Hey, Travis Smiley, y'all the bomb.
All you have to do is go to KBLA1580.com right now and sign up. Admission is free, but mandatory, and space is limited. Once we reach capacity, we'll have to cut off the online registration, but it's open right now.
Oh, my God.
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for being the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again. Happy anniversary.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and rocking the mic. As we used to say, Miles, back in the day, we are squatted up today. Nabu, Simeon, Miles, we got a full house. First things first. Behind the scenes, and of course you, our KBLA delegation, you're invited in every hour. 800-920-1580 is the number if you want to make a point or refute a point or get some fellowship, fun, little fighting. We do it all. Now, the way this show is broken down is the first hour we typically look at what's happening locally on the left coast, what's happening on this side of town. In hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest or a hot topic. Our topic today, how to raise girls in a 5G fast world. And it should be quite an interesting discussion. Mama Boo, founder, Nikisha Scott, founder of Live Your Life organization, nonprofit that works with young girls, and West Coast Cam, a rap artist and member of the Nation of Islam who has strong views about women and girls and families. So should be a lively conversation. I don't think you want to miss this one. I don't know what's happening on Thursdays lately. Our Thursdays have been, a lot, which is great. If you missed last Thursday, we had, who was on? Lord, my brain. Okay, yeah, that's right, Miles. It was Jaguar, right? And I don't even remember what was the Thursday before that, but I know our Thursdays have been rather lit. If you missed it, you can go wherever you get your podcasts and find it for free. And you can also get it on the app. If you don't have the KBLA app by now, I would request that you get it because it makes us stronger, but also because you can listen on your phone wherever you go. And all the podcasts are cataloged on there. You also get trending headlines. Not just my podcast, Tavis's, Zoe Williams, all of the shows are on there. So, and also your latest episode of the Black Lives Matter, Grassroots Black Lives Matter LA show. This is not a drill, which happens on Saturday morning. So there's a lot to check out there. Also, You can always call me every hour, doesn't matter what the hour. And you know that Freedman Fridays is Fridays. That's when we flip. We flip the format a little bit because our second hour on Fridays is always focused on reparations, a comprehensive reparations conversation that happens every Friday. All comers, you lineage, Pan-African, other, none of the above, don't know Jack, all are welcome into the space to learn, to debate, and to dispute and to brainstorm too. So that's happening. Tomorrow we will be inviting in Cam Howard. So that, again, should be quite an interesting conversation. And we'll be going even deeper in the third hour with more reparations conversation. So that's what's up. And I'm glad you're here. Gemini season is all the way in effect. Tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. Yes, it's time for us, the talkers, those ruled by Mercury, to do the things that we do. And happy birthday to my baby niece, my baby Gemini niece today, Miss Ruby Marlowe. So excited to finally, because she's so busy, it's hard to get her in the space, but she is very dedicated to the fight for justice. She's done all kinds of things, including collaborating with state assembly members to pass legislation around criminal justice reform, raising a daughter in West Oakland. Maybe she should be on an hour 3 with us, too. She works to comfort families who have lost loved ones to state violence, mentors young people in civic activism and theater, and brings her compassionate grace, tenacity, and vision to all of this work, which she says was nurtured by the fierce love of her late activist mama and ignited by an unjust system that incarcerated her father instead of providing him health care support to fight his addiction. She's a radio legend in her own right. Kat Brooks, welcome.
Good morning, Ms. Dominique DiPrima. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I'm doing all right for 6:10 in the morning, for sure.
Okay, and my question of the day is like, how many radio shows are you doing today? Is it 4, 5, 6?
Oh my gosh! So it's right now it's just 2, but the mayor actually released her budget, so probably more than that.
Just 2. Notice the just 2. Well, I appreciate you being here with me, Kat, because there's so much to unpack, and I always love to get your perspective. So you're talking about the Oakland mayor, of course, because that's where you are based.
Yes.
And I gotta say, and I have to confess, because I was in Oakland last weekend, and I'll be there again shortly. That when we rented our car and walked out, they have signs with pictures of robbers on them, Kat Brooks. And the guy at the rent-a-car told her, don't stop anywhere in Oakland if you can avoid it. Like, just bypass the entire city? That's your advice to tourists? Yeah, so 2 questions. I mean, I imagine if there's that much alarmism going around, that the budget is probably heavily law enforcement based, but also, how wild is it out there? I mean, you've been and lived in South LA, and South LA is way safer than Oakland right now. Is that hype, or is that the truth?
I mean, maybe that's my problem. Maybe my problem is that I live in South Central, so I'll be walking around Oakland like I don't understand what's wrong. But
what's wrong with you people?
Like everything's fine, and everything is not fine, and there's a lot of hype, right?
Yeah.
It's not a zero game. So as I know, Dominique, post we're still in the pandemic, but hot on the heels of the COVID pandemic came the economic pandemic. And the exact same communities that were hit the hardest and are still being hit the hardest by COVID, Black communities, brown communities, poor communities, are the ones that were hit the hardest with the economic pandemic, right? So the housing insecure became homeless, the hungry became starving. The job insecure became jobless, and a bunch of people were funneled into the underground economy. Now, here in Oakland, we knew what was going to happen. We went to city council. We warned them. They ignored us, as they ignored people across the country. And, we ended up in really dire straits. And so was there an uptick in, what some of us, call survival crimes? One day I'm going to find a better word than crime. Absolutely. Are things worse than they've ever been ever? Absolutely not. But Dominique, you'll remember, right? Not that I'm trying to age either one of us, but 80s and 90s, when the government, flooded our communities with crack cocaine, and instead of providing resources, right, they provided tanks, cops, and cages to push a conservative agenda. And so we're seeing that actually across the country. We're seeing the fear narrative being used to push a political agenda. And the second piece that I want to say about this that's super important, we're also in the middle of a massive backlash to defund, a backlash to Black Lives Matter, a backlash to global resistance, and a calling out of the ways in which the United States does, quote unquote, public safety. What we just experienced the last couple of years is the biggest shakeup to the status quo of the carceral state this country has ever seen. So the law and order drumbeat is their response, and so it's a both and. It's definitely a both and.
Yeah.
And you understand, as a storyteller and a radio host, the power of narrative.
Yeah.
And they've definitely captured the power of narrative.
I mean, it seems like you said you warned the city council, and it's weird because I hate to say this, but sometimes folks that consider themselves progressive, well, I'm from the Bay. So I have a little insight that they can end up going around and around in circles and not being, effective in choosing a solution, choosing an answer, or even listening to community groups that are doing the work. But I think that's right. There's definitely a backlash, a white lash going on across the country against people like yourself that are doing the work to end white supremacy inside of our public safety systems and state terror, state-sanctioned murders of Black people. And it's weird because I think it's not weird, but it's disturbing because it shows you, like you said, the power of the narrative. The spotlight is away, so people aren't paying attention. But 2023 was the most deadly year for police killing civilians in modern history, right?
Yep, it was, and we are on track to actually surpass that number this year.
Wow, that I did not know.
Yeah, so all of our, our allies, and I use that word intentionally instead of accomplices, that went home at the end of 2020 and said, well, we did it, it's over. Newsflash, right, the same communities that we were out in the streets for in 2020 are the same communities that are right now experiencing massive levels of police violence. And part of that, I just want to connect the dots, Dominique, is because we're in this backlash, because there's this law and order drumbeat, because there's a doubling down of using the carceral state to so-called, to get us to so-called public safety, there's more cops on the street. So I'll just say, like here in Oakland, the governor is sending 100-plus California Highway Patrol officers. That means more pretextual stops. That means more racial profiling. And the more contact our people have with law enforcement, the more violence our communities engage with.
Right. So, I mean, and I actually have empathy, maybe, I don't know, maybe more than you do, I'm not sure, with some of these mayors who call themselves progressives. And then you see, like here in LA, we've seen a surge of crime on the metro. And, Oakland is dealing what it's dealing with. I mean, even the activists that I talk to there are like, don't leave anything in your car.
Don't do that. That's fact.
Not even in the trunk, right? And so what happens, I think, even, when that's going on, even though we can look at the data and say crime overall is down, homicides are down, you are actually more safe right now. You may be more likely to lose your catalytic converter or the stuff you left in your car or even your car itself. But as far as violent crime, it's down. It's the perception, it's people don't want to hear that. And so what do you do as a big city mayor? You got to do something. You can't be like, well, we keep us safe, so carry on. Like when there's a surge on the metro or people are afraid to drive anywhere in a city, what's a progressive mayor supposed to do in that situation? Or a governor who considers himself progressive like Newsom, you say, why would he dispatch all these CHP? But what's the right answer for them in these scenarios?
Yeah, so first of all, I think we got to be careful who we call progressive.
That part.
Is not progressive. He's a neoliberal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the mayor that was the mayor of Oakland at that time, Libby Schaaf, she was not a progressive. She was a neoliberal, and there's a difference. Oakland's mayor, though she used to run with the progressive folks on city council, she has definitely been behaving like a neoliberal, and so I actually think, and I actually me and my comrade tussle about this, right? A progressive mayor, let's say I had won the seat in 2018, really happy I didn't. A progressive mayor, your responsibility, right? Like, and I'm not saying like you just stop, you take all the money from cops, right now. I mean, that's one of the fear narratives that they put out there. These defund people, they want to take all the money from cops, no more cops as of tomorrow, right? That's not the conversation, but we do need to be having a conversation about why in almost every single municipality across this country does law enforcement have over half of the general fund. A progressive mayor would balance the scales and put more money into community ambassadors, more money into health care, more money into trauma supports, more money into job training, more money into housing, because those are two pathways to public safety. But you're right, people don't want to hear it. They want to see it.
Yeah, they want to feel it.
And right, they want to feel it. So we have to be building, which really is a lot of the work of organizers right now, and definitely what I'm focused on. We have to build community-led, creative, and responsive models of public safety so the people can see and feel, look, there's another way to do this.
Yeah, for sure. Talking with Kat Brooks, and we are going to continue this conversation. You're invited in, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. I have a name for that, by the way, Kat. I call them progressive posers, because everybody likes to say it or take a few items from the progressive platform and kind of dress up their agenda and call themselves progressive. I call them progressive posers. Keep your eyes out. Listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at USO.org today.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, back to me and Kat Brooks, who, as I said, is an accomplished radio personality in her own right, and an artivist, meaning in the midst of all this lobbying and protesting and working on, legislation, she's also a writer, director, and on the stage, right?
Yes, I am. All of the above.
I think that's important. I mean, you got to have some stuff to feed your other parts of your soul, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was an actress first. I started, I've been on the stage since I was 8 years old. I'm not going to say how many decades that means, but it's more than 2. And that's, what I wanted to do with my life. But the thing, you plan and God laughs. So,
yeah.
So
well,
I use it, as a tool of organizing. But it hasn't been primary focus.
And sure. I met you, of course, at the Community Coalition.
Yes.
Couple decades ago, at least, when Karen Bass was still running that organization, and you worked in communications there. And I know you've worked on a lot of legislation and things in the state, on the state level, and California has made some pretty amazing strides, actually, I'll say, in the last 10 years in certain areas, right? Reparations, even police, I don't want to call it reform, with another Shirley Weber bill plus the Steve Bradford bill, which you worked on, right?
Yeah, and I just real quick, I want to give a shout out to my deputy director at Anti-Police Terror Project, James Birch, who is a policy guru, and a lot of the radical legislation that you see is a result of him really holding the line around language, right? Because you start and then compromise comes. It's compromise time. Well, if you want so and so to sign, then you got to take out this. You can't have that, etc. And James and our statewide coalition, which often has included, shout out to Black Lives Matter Grassroots and BLM LA. You got to hold the line, and James has been able to do that. And so we've seen things like the Racial Profiling Act that we worked to get passed. We've seen things like SB 2, which is the decertification process for police officers. So that means, if a cop rapes someone, beats someone, kills someone, they can't now just make a lateral move. There's an actual committee that reviews it, and cops can be decertified.
They can't go to
The
Bellflower and be a cop, which is what
Exactly.
used to happen all the time. Yeah.
Yep. The Crisis Act, which was my brainchild, which took $200 million out of the state budget and redirected it to grassroots organizations to develop, as we were talking about before the break, alternative response models to community crisis, so we're not leaning on law enforcement. We've seen the Miles Hall bill. Miles Hall was murdered by Walnut Creek police officers, which really led the pathway to 988. I've got my critiques on 988, but yet and still, right, there's a statewide number that you can call instead of 911. So, I mean, that's just
also a lot of that. I don't know. I'm not sure what your critiques are, but at least some of it has to be the fact that it's still getting on its feet. I mean, the 988 system is, new, and it's hard to stand up something that massive immediately.
Yeah, my critique of it is it's 911 adjacent, right? So they will call the police very quickly, as opposed to our ethos, right, is time, space, de-escalate. The police are the very, 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 very super last resort, right? 988 still sees police officers and police response as a pathway to resolution. And that's not the abolitionist world nor the abolitionist praxis that I and folks, that I work with across the country are trying to pull this country kicking and streaming into.
800-920-1580 is the number. Kat Brooks, we're going into news, traffic, and sports right here, so it wouldn't be fair for me to expect you to answer this question right now. But, I mean, looking at these bills, what's the next one? What's the next statewide project, statewide legislation that you are working on or that you would like to see us get behind, us, the KBLA delegation, the change makers, in order to continue this trajectory, even in the face of backlash, this trajectory towards laws that actually represent progress in the way we do public safety? I mean, is it cops out of stops? Like, what is next? We'll look at that after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Jury deliberations continue today in former President Trump's hush money trial in New York City. Jurors deliberated for 4.5 hours yesterday. Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection to alleged hush money payments made just prior to the 2016 election. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Colorado Springs, Colorado for today's U.S. Air Force Academy graduation. Harris will be speaking at the commencement ceremony, the first for her at USAFA. It will not be the first Service Academy graduation for the Vice President has taken part in, as she spoke at West Point last year and the U.S. Naval Academy in 2021. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
The Final Four and the best of the region meet at the CONCACAF W Gold Cup semifinals at Snapdragon Stadium on March 6th. Who will win the battle for the title? Secure your tickets at wgoldcup.com/tickets and be part of the history. CONCACAF W Gold Cup, our legacy, our cup.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Does the name James Borrego ring a bell for you? If not, you're not by yourself. Borrego is an assistant coach with the New Orleans Pelicans. He spent most of Wednesday at the Lakers practice facility interviewing for the team's head coach vacancy. Other coaches the Lakers have an interest in: Boston assistant Sam Cassell, Dallas assistant Jared Dudley, former head coach Scott Brooks, and former Clippers guard J.J. Redick. The Western Conference Finals moves back to Minneapolis today for Game 5. Dallas has a 3-1 lead over the Timberwolves, 5:30 tip-off on TNT. The L.A. Sparks are at Chicago tonight, 5 p.m. tip. The Dodgers had 16 hits, including 4 homers, to pound the Mets in New York. The Dodgers scored 18 runs in the 3-game sweep over the Mets. The Dodgers are back home Friday against Colorado. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversations when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams. My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hi, this is Quentin. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A chicken strips are how satisfying they are. The chicken strips are amazing. They're always filling, crispy, tender, and juicy. Definitely one of my favorite things on the menu. Especially when you add in that Chick-fil-A sauce. Always the perfect combination. And then personally, you know me, I'm getting a 4 count. I want as much chicken as possible. I'm that guy. Whenever I get them, whether it be lunch or for dinner, in my household, it's always a winner.
Order the chicken strips on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customer paid for their testimonial.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And thanks for waking up with Kat Brooks. She's executive director of the Anti-Police Terror Project and Justice Teams Network. You want to break down what those are, Kat? I mean, we're talking local, we're talking left coast this morning, and it's nice to have a Northern California outpost because sometimes we don't, we focus a lot on LA because this is where we're broadcasting from.
That's right. That's right. Well, then I'll start with the Justice Teams Network, actually, because Justice Teams Network is a statewide organization. It's made up of 15 anchor organizations that are committed to ending state violence in our communities. Really small, grassroots, scrappy, getting to the grime of it groups, and we support them with training, resources. We connect campaigns so that if there needs to be a statewide effort that exists, emotional support, et cetera, et cetera. And JTN is actually a big words here, fiscally sponsored project of the Anti-Police Terror Project. APTP was born in 2010 out of the struggle for justice for Oscar Grant, who was executed on the Fruitvale BART platform on January 1st, 2009. Those of us that do this work see the subsequent struggle for justice for Oscar as kicking off this iteration of the fight to end state terror. And that fight straddled Oakland and Los Angeles because the judge thought if he moved it out of Oakland, people would get out of the streets, and so sent it to L.A., and then people were just in the streets in Oakland and L.A., and we were working with our homies down there. So it became a statewide resistance effort. So APTP, our mission is to eradicate state terror in our communities. No small task there. We do that through policy. We work deeply with impacted families. We develop alternative models that can respond to community crisis. Lots and lots of organizing, right? So engaging with the police commission and city council. Healing justice. We utilize healing justice as an organizing strategy, and that doesn't mean go get a massage. It means we come together collectively to heal the wounds of white supremacy intentionally, to build resiliency so we can go back into the streets and fight. So we've got a building in the bottoms of West Oakland called the People's House, all kinds of programming that runs out of there, produce giveaways, low-cost, no-cost space for artists, clinical services. We'd have a people's clinic where our people can come in and get seen for everything from diabetes to high blood pressure. Our folks' relationship with Western medicine sometimes is not all that great, which means that sometimes our people won't go talk to anybody, right? And so giving safe place for people to come deal with their health issues. So we do a lot of stuff, but really we're trying to rationalize what people call the radical, right? We want to live in a world where it's radical to call the police on someone because they're experiencing mental health crisis. We want that to become absurd.
I think that's, it's an interesting way of looking at it, because of what is normalized, right? And that's where our job is partly really important in shaping narratives. What is normalized? Is it shocking to call the police on somebody who's having a mental health crisis? Is it as shocking as it would be to call the police on someone who is having a heart attack or, suffering from cancer? And getting to that point is going to take shifting perceptions. So I think that's an interesting approach. But I asked you about, what's next as far as statewide movement around ending police violence, state-sanctioned violence against especially black people, but people in general.
You did, and I did a very giddy dance when you asked me that, because I'm very excited actually about what we are getting ready to roll out. We are actually in the process of rolling out the Safe Roads, Save Lives campaign, which is about decarcerating transportation. And really for us, it's about getting, cops out of traffic, but it's so much more. So, right, there's a lot of conversations about unsafe streets, and we need cops because people are blowing stop signs or driving too fast, or they're doing all this stuff. We actually can't arrest our way out of that problem. What we can do is invest in infrastructure, traffic calming infrastructure, right? That's phase one. And so we've created a statewide coalition. It's everyone from pedestrian organizers and activists to bike activists to folks like us that want to end racial profiling via police pretextual stops. It's got 7 Ds: decriminalize, divest, develop, decide, design, defend, delineate. So it's working with the most impacted communities to develop what would work for them in terms of traffic calming infrastructure. There's a plank that is about training formerly incarcerated folks to actually get the jobs that will build this traffic calming infrastructure, decriminalizing, things we have already done, jaywalking, but decriminalizing so many of the nonsense things, right, that cops can pull you over for or stop you while you're walking, or even what you're riding your bike for. So we got a report that's actually going to drop in the next week or two. And this is the next 1 year, 2 year push at the state level. And so again, right, the work is about developing the alternative, right? We can scream and yell and stomp our feet and protest and march, and being reactionary is important, right? I love being in the streets. And, right, what is the solution? How do we actually get out of this? We can't be asking the state to tell us how the state is going to stop killing us, because they're actually killing us, incarcerating us is a tactic of the state so they can maintain the status quo. This work has to be from us, by us, and for us. And so, this is the next one, and super excited. I know it's a local level in a lot of places. Folks are having this conversation. So we're looking to galvanize California behind the Safe Roads, Safe Lives campaigns.
And it's so, relevant right now, statewide, but particularly here in LA, the conversation is how do you make public transportation safer? Now they're here in Los Angeles, they're trying a pilot program where riders on the metro trains, they're trying this in the Valley, will have to show their tap cards or their fare cards on the way out as well as on the way in, and that somehow this is going to make transit safer. And it's crazy to me because we're leaning to, in my not expert opinion, we're leaning the opposite direction of what would make us safer. I feel like cops spend all their time chasing people who are fare evaders. So if transit was free, then maybe, they could spend time keeping it safe. Instead, they're talking about policing your tap cards on the way in and out, which means, in my opinion, they're going to end up harassing a lot of people that are just trying to get a free ride. And those are not the people that are, stabbing folks and beating people up, I don't believe. So I'm not quite sure. But on the other hand, I really feel for Mayor Bass right now because you can't do nothing. How do you make trains safer? And if we're being fair, let's talk about BART. When I go to the Bay to visit, I have a lot of family there. Everyone says nobody rides BART anymore. It's too dangerous.
That's not why. So I'm like, people stopped riding BART because of COVID. Just like people stopped going to restaurants because of COVID, right? People stopped. There's this whole. But
they never. But they didn't come back. I mean,
no, we haven't come back, Dominique. We're still emerging out of COVID. Truly, we are. And I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen on public transit, but in you said in your not expert opinion, I don't know. You've been talking about this stuff for a long time,
right?
So you have expertise, but I'm gonna say, in my expert opinion, I am a public safety expert. The way that you make public transit safer is actually not more cops. There's actually little to no data anywhere that shows that more cops mean less crime. Anywhere.
So what do you do, though? Okay, we can say we make us safer, and I understand what you're saying because I know that to be true. It usually results in more black people getting murdered, and jailed.
The case that I just acquired last week, a 15-year-old girl. There was a crowded BART. She's walking through the turnstile. She had her Clipper card on her. She's 15, right? She wanted to just go. Cop told her to go back. As she's going back, the cop grabs her, slams this baby into the ground. Before she knows it, she's got two cops on her, one with a knee in her back, the other with the knees on her legs, carrying her out, in that hogtied fashion, and slammed her in the back of a police car for $2.70.
Yeah.
So the question is, safer for who, right? And so, public transit, all public transit should be free. Sorry, if we've got bazillions of dollars to go kill children in Palestine, we can surely figure out how to make public transit free in this country. Secondly, community ambassadors, right? We've got community ambassador programs here, hiring, employing impacted folks, security-minded folks, movement security-minded folks. Flood the stations with those folks. Cleanliness, right? What do our public transit systems look like when you go in there?
Well, what do they smell like? More, yeah, they smell like New York subways. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I want to go a little deeper with this, Kat Brooks, when we come forward, because it's a really, I think we are at a crossroads when it comes to public transportation, at least in California. Focus on that more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more. All designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
A word from Original Taco Pete, where Tuesdays are all about $2 tasty black tacos. Join us today and every day at 3272 West Slauson Ave off Crenshaw, or order through Grubhub, Uber Eats, or OriginalTacoPete.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Indeed, it does. Kat Brooks is at Scholarly Match today, Executive Director of the Anti-Police Terror Project, Justice Teams Network, and also an artivist in the Bay Area, although I met her here in Southern California. So you were talking about, we were talking about a lot of things. How do we make public transportation safer? We both agree that making it free is one step, so that, because it seems like in New York and here, so many of the tragedies that occur are cops overreacting to a $2 so-called fare theft. So to me, that makes it safer, but I've had people tell me, well, then any homeless person can just go into the metro and live on the train, or any violent person can go and hang out on the BART, which I would argue they can now anyway. People jump turnstiles all the time. You said more ambassadors. We do have ambassadors here in Los Angeles. The program appears to be working really well, but we still have seen a surge in violence, attacks on drivers. And you're telling me the data doesn't show that cops make us safer, which I'm not surprised by that. But what else can we do besides more ambassadors?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, Dominique, while on commercial break, and what is sitting on me right now is we're looking for the quick fix. We're looking for the magic bullet.
Yeah.
We're looking for this, that somebody's going to do it. We're going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be safe. First of all, there is no magic bullet. It took time to get where we're at, and it's going to take time to get up out of it. But we're never going to get up out of it if we keep investing in what is actually a failed strategy. You know, I know, America incarcerates more people than any other country on the planet, yet we remain one of the most dangerous countries to live in. You can't incarcerate your way out of what I want to call them trickle down, the avalanche down effects of 400 years of white supremacy. It is just not going to happen. But I'm going to go back to the Safe Roads, Safe Lives campaign, and one of the biggest planks, right, is job creation for the people, right, that cannot get jobs, for the people that are pushed into the underground economy, for the people that are trying to figure out how to put a roof over their head, food in their bellies, clothes on their children's backs, and are going to do that by any means necessary. Most people that are out there engaging in survival crimes or other crimes, when you talk to these folks, that is not what they want to be doing. They want to be able to eat, have health care, and live just like you and me. So the answer is that we start to do things differently now. But if we keep saying, no, we need something that's going to work right away that we're never going to get, we are never going to get out of this cycle. And it's a vicious one. And yes, in the process, people are being harmed. My friend Andrea Ritchie of Interrupting Criminalization also talks about safety is an illusion. We are on a spinning rock at however many bazillion miles a second, right, through a massive universe. What is safety? And really controlling that narrative. But it's not.
Can you imagine being a mayor and saying that, though? Like, how is that going to go?
I can. I mean,
Next up, the new mayor for the city of LA will be, the police union candidate, one Mr. Rick Caruso. Yes, I'll turn the whole city into the Grove, and there'll be nothing but Christmas lights and trolleys. You can't. I mean, my brother, as you know, is mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Now he's running for governor. And I feel like he's walked an amazing line in terms of dealing with police, and even garnering support from police unions. I don't know how he did it. And still putting in place, a civilian oversight board with subpoena power. And the crime is way down there. But I think in some instances that's true. They've invested a lot in jobs, in spaces so that black-owned businesses and small businesses can stay in the communities as they gentrify or so-called develop, and et cetera, et cetera. What can we do to support this bill, or what would be helpful to support this transit, not just public transit, because this impacts cops and stops and all kinds of other things that you were talking about. I can't wait to see the report that you said is coming out shortly. What can we do to support that process?
Well, you, Dominique DiPrima, I hope when it drops, maybe you'll consider having Deputy Director James Birch on, who can take a deeper dive.
Absolutely.
He's quite brilliant. And then when it does drop, right, like we're going to need people to call the legislatures, to email the legislatures, to have town halls to educate folks on what the bill is. It will definitely be a statewide effort, a statewide coalition. We're going to need folks to testify, to tell their stories. So when the call comes out that we need the people to show up for this people's bill, we need folks to actually show up.
That makes a difference. I'm going to ask that because you've worked on many a piece of legislation, and I feel like sometimes we don't realize the impact.
How much time we got left? One of so when APTP first started, actually, we didn't do policy at all, right? For us, it was like policy means fixing it. The things can't be fixed. Then we sort of got down off of our soapbox because our people are, really in dire conditions. And for us, it is all roads in, right? We do currently have to use the paradigm we're in, getting people like your brother into elected office that can do what they can do from where they're sitting, right? But that can't be it. Then we've got to do our stuff. And for us, we engage in what we call radical reforms. So you're never going to see APTP sponsoring bills about body cameras or wasting any more millions of dollars on cultural competency trainings. We've got to be pushing for reforms that chip away at the status quo and make more room for the kinds of radical transformations to the systems that we actually want to see. One of the hiccups of policy, though, is that we get these amazing bills that come from the people, the hearts, and the minds of organizers and abolitionists and actually true progressives. We get it passed, but at the end of the day, it is up to the status quo state to implement it. So a lot of times the devil is in the details. It's in what does the legislation say about implementation and who is controlling implementation, and that's something we have to get smarter about. And so, yeah, sometimes you don't feel an impact. It also takes a minute for things to get off the ground. I mentioned the Crisis Act. The organizations that got that money to build these models just got that money. It's going to take a year or two for them to get up running. The decertification of police, that is a slow process. I go back to what I said before the break. There is no silver bullet. We are not going to wake up tomorrow with any one solution and be immediately safe. It's going to be a process, but we have to invest in the process. We have to trust the people. Those that are closest to the problem are the experts at the solution, and that's the path that we got to be walking right now.
Well, we'll have to probably have this conversation on another day. You mentioned that you didn't think our governor is progressive. And I'm just wondering, we got a whole bunch of people teeing up to run, so I'm wondering who you're going to end up supporting in that. But like you said, how much time do we have? Tell us how to track you, Kat Brooks, and what you want to leave us with.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram at The Real Kat Brooks. I am still in that hellscape called X at Kat's Commentary. You can catch me on Law and Disorder on the KPFK sister station up here at KPFA, Anti-Police Terror Project on all of the socials. And what do I want to leave you with? I still believe we can win. I get up every single day and do this work because I believe we can win. And in this moment, when I am feeling desperate or down or worried, as we're barreling towards these 2024 elections, I find inspiration in our young people. I'm looking at the student encampment movement right now. And these babies, these children, these young adults are using language around intersectionality. They're connecting the dots between oppression of black folks here and oppression of colonized people across the globe. They understand the definition of transformative justice. They are responding to mental health issues and building community-based services inside their encampments that are by and for and of them. We are on a pathway to doing things differently. But we got to keep at it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen tomorrow. But I do believe that we're getting there. If you think about it, the number of states now, the number of cities now that have non-carceral responses to mental health crisis, I mean, 5 years ago, that would have been an impossible dream to even think about in your head. That is a direct result of defund. And no matter the backlash, we were able to plant that seed and it's taken root. And we're not going to go backwards. Organizing gets the goods. There's my final words. Organizing gets the goods.
Kat Brooks, thank you so much for being with me today.
Dominique, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege.
Call me now, y'all. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Jury deliberations continue today in former President Trump's hush money trial in New York City. Jurors deliberated for 4.5 hours yesterday. Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection to alleged